Welcome everyone to the Bowlers Union podcast. Keith and I are joined today by former teammate, England legend, World Cup winner, Sir Chris Woakes. How you doing, Woakesy?
Good lads, good lads. Thanks for having me on. Really good to be back with the boys. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's great to have you on, mate. It's great to have you on. I've got 5 quick fire questions. Swing or nip?
Okay. Swing or nip? Swing.
Pace or bounce?
Bounce.
Nick off or bowled?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Nick off.
Nick off.
Yeah, nick off.
Backhand slowy or knuckleball?
I'm going to say back of the hand slowy.
A good bouncer or a good Yorker?
Oh.
Bouncer, you're smashing them on the toe. Bouncer, you're smashing them on the lid. Yorker, you're smashing them on the toe.
Yeah. I'm going to go Yorker. I'm going to go Yorker.
Swing's obviously been your, just been you, hasn't it, since you started bowling.
Yeah.
I surprised you went with bounce. Why bounce?
Why bounce? More because I suppose I was thinking more about myself. I was thinking, pace is something which I've never really had. Like, I went for a period of probably, a decent pace, but in terms of like, if you think of me as a bowler, you don't think pace. So it's like my main weapon, if I'm not, if it's not swinging, is trying to extract a bit of bounce out of the service. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, when you get a bat to come forward and you hit the stickers and you clip the top, like that for me is like, I love seeing batters like surprised by the bounce and nicked off. Like that's as good as knocking someone's hobs over for me. Like, I really enjoy that bit because that's like, in a way, like that's the pace side of me coming out. If you know what I mean, is like extracting that bounce and pace out the pitch rather than pace out the hand. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. And then obviously you just explained about like nicking off. There was a story. This was your first year when you were playing first team at Warwickshire. I think I got told this. You were bowling quite well at someone, and they've had a big whoosh, and you've told them just be careful. Something like that.
How do you remember these things, mate? Honestly, your memory is so good. No, I remember it well. It was I think Trouts might have told the story. It was Jamie Dalrymple. It was, and Jamie Dalrymple. He was like, I suppose he was in England international at the time, and I don't know. I suppose what Wrighty was on about, talking about just off air, is when your beans are going and you like get someone a big play and miss or something. I was just like, I'm just going to be a cheeky youngster here and just give him a little bit. It's probably the last time I gave a bat or anything when I was about 18. I was just like, don't throw it away now, Jamie. Don't throw it away. And then he nicked off a couple of balls later or something. So it was nice. But good memory that Barks. I don't know how you remember this sort of stuff.
It literally just came to me then. All right, just as you've gone on about young, like 18, go back a bit younger. Were did you bowl off the wrong foot when you were young?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So when I was first starting, like, as a proper youngster, like, I don't know, 10, 11, probably until I was about 12 or 13, I bowled off the wrong foot. So, like, I used to skip off the wrong foot. And it was, I can't remember why it got ironed out. I don't think I did a load of work on it. It kind of just, in a weird way, fizzled out and it just kind of adjusted. But it's definitely, like Luke Proctor used to bowl.
Yeah.
I was like that as a 10, 11, 12-year-old.
I couldn't imagine that because you were so pure when I came to Warwickshire. It's like I could not see you with your little earrings that you used to wear.
Yeah. Earring.
Earring, sorry. Earring you used to wear, hopping off the wrong foot.
Well, you've got your earphones.
I did do, when I was like,
did you?
15, I reckon. 15 to about. Do I still have it when? Were you? When you? No,
I think you just got rid of
probably
it.
15 to 17 or something like that. I was doing it. Then I used to start getting a load of shit for it, mate. So I just got rid of it.
Oh, that's awesome! I had no idea.
Really.
Yeah, that's cool. And you made
it really weren't. It weren't cool, Brian. Let me tell you.
You know what? It would be if you did it now. I reckon then everyone would be like, "Oh my, Woakes."
True. Maybe I was just ahead of my time, mate. Do you know what I mean? Just like.
Yeah.
just going with it, and then 20 years later, it's all the rage again.
Amazing. Have you made your first class debut at 17? I've got it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It was 2006 here at Edgbaston. Yeah. So I'd have been 17.
So how'd that come about? Because that's really young.
Yeah, so that was against West Indies A. So it was like a tour game, the old school tour games. They were touring, playing a few counties, and I'd played in the twos the week before up at York, I think it was. No, it wasn't York. It was is it Stamford Bridge up there, up in York or something like that? It's a place called Stamford Bridge or something. Anyway, I played up there, played the second team game, bowled, relatively well, and then I came back to Edgbaston the next training session. Mark Greatbatch pulled me to the side and said, "We're, you're going to make your first test debut next week against West Indies A." So yeah, bit of a shock really, because I didn't expect to, but I suppose they, you think back, they're probably looking to fill the team a little bit. You know what I mean? Like first team players probably not wanting to play and looking after bowlers and that sort of thing. So anyway, got my chance, and that was it, mate. It was a bit of a shock really.
You get any wickets in that game?
Yeah, I remember playing. I got 2-1 in. I don't know if it's 2 in the first innings or 2 in the second, but definitely got 2 in one of the innings and then 1 in the other, I think. But Tino Best played that game. I was absolutely bricking it, mate. Thinking if I've got to go out there and face Tino Best, who's bowling the thunderbolts, I was like, he's gonna kill me. Like if he bowls one at my head, I could die.
To be fair, he did bowl quick, didn't he? He was like genuinely
he
quick.
bowled fast. I remember Westy got like 180 in that game, smashed it everywhere. Was pulling Tino off his nose, but good memories, mate. I mean, that was the first time I'd properly played at Edgbaston as well, so that was like big for me, huge. Yeah,
and that's where Chris Woakes bowled from one end throughout his whole career. He bowled it from the city end.
From the city end, yeah.
And it was Wrighty last season played first time ever. Chris Woakes coming on at the pavilion, and I was like, and against me, I was like, this is something's gone wrong here. Something's gone wrong.
This is great, amazing.
Yeah, it's grown on me a little bit this end. I used to hate it. I used to literally. I reckon if you looked at the amount of wickets I've got for Warwickshire, I reckon 95% have come from the city end. I reckon
99.
Yeah, so honestly, it's ridiculous. But the last few years when I've played here and I've come on at this end, because I've played a few tests here now as well, and I've actually got a few wickets from this end in Test cricket. Whereas county games, I just hate this end.
Was it just a bit of a mental block for you, like to want to do it, or
you know how an end just feels. Yeah, the wind is swell, and also when I first started, the wind did just pretty much 90% of the time come from the one side of the ground, so it helped away swingers from that far end. So it was just like the end that would suit me, and then had some success and was like, I'd rather just bowl from this end. And then whenever I did come on this end, I just used to find it different, mate. It's just a different feel. Like pitch feels long.
Yes, it does feel longer.
Ball didn't swing. I was like, honestly, it felt like it just nullified everything that I had in my armory. I was like, I can't do it. I can't bowl this end.
I just want to make it clear for all the listeners here is that when we were playing with Sir Chris Woakes, we had the nickname. Well, England had the nickname of Wizard, but we knew him as Golden Balls.
Yeah, GB.
Tell me what it's like to every time that you come out to bat, the sun comes out. Because do you not remember that? No, that's not a joke. Do you not remember that was a real thing that was happening? Every time you come out to bat, the sun would just appear out of nowhere.
The clouds apart. That was Gylo's thing, wasn't it? Gylo was like, golden balls will make the clouds disappear. It was all a bit of a bant on it, but it was something that stuck pretty early on when Gylo started it, and that was it. I mean, when a nickname comes up around Barks, anyway, Barks is just not letting that drop, is he? Let's face it.
So going back to that early stage, who was the bowling attack then, or who did you kind of I don't want to say force out, but, you obviously
I'm just trying to think. The bowling attack when I first made my championship debut was against Surrey. here at Edgbaston in 2008, and that was 2007. Sorry, 2007, and it was me, Jimmy Anion. I think Fonzo played that game. Alfonso Thomas.
Oh, did he?
I think we had Paul. Did we have Paul Harris then as a spinner? Oh mate, honestly, it's that long ago. I can't even remember. But Carts. Neil Carter was still here, obviously. Who you two would have played with Carts, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd have played lots with Carts. So yeah, I didn't bowl much in the game, but the next year was probably the breakthrough year, 2008, and I opened the bowling with Chris Martin was our overseas.
Yeah.
And I bowled a lot with him that year, along with Carts, obviously.
Boyd, I'm sure I played against you then for Essex, because you had Boyd and Clarkey, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I feel like Boyd and Clarkey, didn't they join the same year? 2008 or 2009? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But Boydie bowled some quick spells when he first joined. Jesus, I mean, there was a game. I think that Essex game actually, right? I think you played in it. It was here at Edgbaston, wasn't it? And Boydie bowled fast. Like, I remember thinking that is disgusting. Remember, like when he got it right, he was like, I reckon, unplayable.
Yeah, no, he really was.
Talk about pace and bounce. That was like, hideous from that height.
Do you remember the game? It was at Chelmsford where I'm trying to work this out, but basically, I think Warwickshire bowled us out, and I think you bowled well. I think Boyd bowled well, and then there was a conversation that went down, a cheeky conversation, and I think they talked about taking a bit of grass off. Basically, or leaving it on. Sorry, going over making it look like they were cutting the pitch.
Okay,
but not cutting
it on.
We had a junior groundsman who misheard that message. He took the grass off, and then Frosty got a double 100. Can you remember?
Yeah. That game.
That was what went down. You knocked rolled us, and then we took all the grass off, and Frosty batted like Sachin. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he got double, didn't he? Didn't he get double?
Yeah, it was the year that he read that golf book, and he basically just batted across his stumps and played just all day, just hit the ball back.
Yeah, he was unbelievable that year. He was ridiculous. That would have been 2008, I reckon.
Was it
right? I reckon. I've got a feeling you got me out of that game. No wonder he brought that up. I think he nicked me off. Pretty sure he did.
I genuinely can't remember, but I can. It's just a funny story because people don't.
Yeah, I mean that's just unheard of, isn't it? Like just whipping the grass off by accident.
Yeah, it's kind of like you do see it every now and again, that kind of thing, and you're like, what's going down here? And it's like, I mean, you're not meant to do it, but I'm sure they don't do it now. But it backfired anyway, because I think Pop was still Warwickshire bowling coach. No, sorry, Essex bowling coach at the time. Because I remember him, because he was pretty cheesed off with how he bowled. He was like, what's going on? He's like, Frost, this bloke, you're making him look like whatever. And he also said about Ambrose, he was like, if anyone gets cut by Ambrose, and obviously everyone was ready to bowl. Yeah, everyone was ready to bowl. Don't get cut. Don't get cut.
Bowling massive cut balls or legs for bar volleys.
Oh, stinker. I don't know how we got onto rambling about that, but I do remember you swinging it around everywhere, being pretty challenging, and then Boyd bowling rapid for sure.
Yeah, good times, mate. Good times. I wish I had that sort of freshness and youthness back. It'd be lovely to be, go back to how it felt when you just run in when you were young and just like nothing really going on in your head other than, I'm just letting the ball go and putting it in a good area and seeing it swing. And, the game changes the older you get, doesn't it?
Yeah, no. Yeah, especially the rigs, that's for sure. Yeah. Who was your sort of favourite bowlers growing up, and inspiration growing up then?
I loved watching Glenn McGrath. I mean, a little bit of a rogue one with him obviously being Australian, and he used to tear England apart. But in a weird way, I used to just love watching him bowl, especially when he bowled in England in Ashes series. I just used to. I mean, he nicked everyone off for fun, didn't he? And
yeah, he did.
I just used to, not that we were the same bowler, but like I did look up to that sort of style of bowling, if you know what I mean. So not express pace, getting people, really, really accurate, getting the ball to move a bit sideways. As we spoke about, sort of bounce off a good length. that's why he's kind of, did. I mean, from an England point of view, I loved watching Goffey bowl. But more, I think that was more his character. Do you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily how he, but it's more the way he played the game. I remember coming to a game. I was ball boy actually in a game here when I'd have been probably about 10 years old, 11 years old, and I was watching him bowl, and it was more the way he went about it. Do you know what I mean? Sort of, I just quite enjoyed his character. He was messing around with the crowd, having a bit of fun. And I remember that sticking with me, and just kind of like I did like Goffey from that point of view. And thankfully, further on in my career, I managed to do a bit of work with him, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I suppose those two really. There's so many bowlers, isn't it, that you can say that I looked up to. But from those, those sort of impactful years that when you watch TV as a sort of teenager growing up watching the game, I think Glenn McGrath, Goffey, those two were probably the two that I watched most really.
And who were your bowling coaches then at Warwickshire? Were you what? AD Perryman? Is that
Perez was my first bowling coach, who I hold in high regard still, because he kind of taught me the basics of swinging a ball. From a very young age, I had the ability to swing it away, but then he kind of taught me the craft and the skill to be able to use it in different ways, sort of like using the crease and being able to bowl an in swinger and sort of the very basics of it. I still relay from him now, sort of thing. So big, shout out to him, I suppose, from my early days. And then moved on. We had got all sorts. I mean, AD, Pop, were big. Obviously, the years that I was playing at Warwickshire as a young pro. And I mean, you both obviously worked with. You wouldn't have worked with AD, would you, at Warwickshire? No,
I didn't have no, I didn't. I mean, I'd love to.
Was Pop your first bowling coach here?
AD was. I signed.
AD.
Yeah, a big reason for signing. I was like, get to work with him. This thing was just like, if you can get your wrist to do that, you'll be like 5 mile an hour quicker. And I was okay. So what do I do? He went, just do that. I was I'm not that good.
Just flick your wrist, mate. Just flick your wrist.
I remember he used to just was it Knots where he was telling Boyd to bounce. I forgot he was telling Boyd to bounce.
I remember the game. Voges, Adam Voges, just going, just bounce him. He's just going on a green again, Boyd. Oh my God! He just kept slapping him into the stands, didn't he? Oh my God! I remember that. AD on a couple of times was like, I think he would get a bit frustrated with us, wouldn't he? He'd be just like, just push him back. Like, I'm bowling 75 mile an hour, mate. I can't push him back.
I was going to say, how did he work with you? Because obviously you are a guy, bowls a bit fuller, swings it, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So what did AD give you? Because I know he kept telling Barks to take their feet away and stuff.
Yeah. AD was good. I think AD was good to me in a way that he kind of probably just let me do what he knew I was good at, if you know what I mean. Like, he didn't, obviously he was telling Boyd to take the feet away, whereas I don't really feel like he did that with me. He kind of just kept it simple, was happy for me to do what I wanted to do, which was obviously pitch the ball up, swing it, use my skill, and do that. But then I think the big change came to when Pop came, and then I was trying to obviously go up a level and play international cricket and stuff, and we worked on trying to get a little bit quicker as well with Kevin Shine at Loughborough at the time, and we tried to tinker with a few different things really. I was very collapsed at the crease, and didn't really use my front arm too much, and I was kind of hinged forward and almost effectively just bowling from my shoulder. And I wasn't, I wasn't a big, strong lad that, bullied the ball down there. So kind of needed to use my body a little bit more. And the three takeaways I think that I tried to do to get quicker was increase my speed and run up a little bit. Not charging, but just increase the energy in it. Probably a couple of Ks quicker. A bit more upright at the crease with a bit more of a lean back and a bit of a tilt. And then the front arm kind of using my elbow a little bit more. I was kind of very much here when I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on camera, obviously, but I was quite low. use my front arm, and then it was kind of making sure I was trying to get my elbow a lot higher. And that was a big thing for me, trying to get that sort of delay in my bowling arm coming over. And it took a while. It took a while to get used to that sort of technical change. And even though they were quite small and they weren't drastic changes, as you both know, when you've done something for so long and you're trying to change something, it feels drastic.
Yeah.
And it took a while for me to kind of get it all to bed in. And, you know, there was a bit of to and fro in. I picked up some speed pretty quickly, but then lost a little bit of skill and couldn't really control my length as well. And, you know, you start to debate whether you're doing the right thing. You know, should I have just stuck to what I was doing? And, you know, I'd had some success at county level, but, you know, I'd had a taste of international cricket, and I just knew what I had wasn't going to be enough to sustain it at that level. So I had to do something, and I was quite clear in my mind that I wanted to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember, because there's two things I want to talk about. One is AD and a funny story, but the other one is with Pop and the drills that you did, because he'd done similar drills with me. But I remember there when I popped in to the indoor, you were doing a session with him, and I was chatting to him, and he was talking about getting your arms working together more, your front arm especially.
Yeah.
And he spoke to you, and then you were trying it, getting your front arm up higher. And as you ran into bowl, he said, I need this to work. If this doesn't work, I've lost him. Because the issue was that you've already had a taste of England, so you could kind of feel like, well, I'm at that point anyway. I don't need to. This is good enough. But you bowled a ball. I still remember it clear as day. It swung, literally hit the surface and went through the roof like bang, boom, and shaped. You were like, yeah, that's good. That. And Pop was like, fucking get in, right? Come on. Right,
thank God it's worked. Sort of thing.
The other one of the funniest things having AD Alan Donald for the year that he was here when I was there, is I don't know if you were playing, Woakesy, it was a one-day game, and he was just recording. He used to sometimes sit on like the top of the stand, the old stand.
Yeah, the old pavilion.
Yeah, the old pavilion, yeah.
And
he was recording people like in the field. And it's like leg. There's me. There's me at fine leg, and I'm walking in.
Oh dear.
You can't tell when the ball's been bowled or not, because he's just looking at me. So there's like fans behind me. I'm just like walking in, I've got sunnies on, and I just like peel off and walk back to where I was. And then there's like Boydie, he seemed like he's at third man, he's like in a really solid, strong position, like, and you can tell that the ball's been bowled. He's like, look at Boydie's ready. And then he's like, video Troy.
Oh, this is so good.
Trotty is just like drifting. At one point, Trotty's swinging his leg, kicking the ground, but like not just scuffing the floor, but like, you know, like big like exercise kicks, just leg up in the air. He's doing that. Yeah. And then Trotty looks up and the ball's about to bowl, and he like scampers to get ready, like
scampers into position.
And then the last part was he got the footage from down the wicket, and over's gone, and Trotty walks across the wicket to his like at the end of the over. About 10 seconds goes by, he walks back across the screen. He's gone, everyone's in position. Drifting. Everyone's in position, but nothing's happening. Then you see Trotty walk to the middle of the wicket, scratch his head, and then run back across.
Oh, it's so good. So good. I remember the meeting when he put that up on the screen. It was like, we're just going to look at people's positions when they're fielding, and everyone's just like, oh no, don't be me. Don't be me. Trotty's best friend, I've got a cafe. Trotty used to be like this in the slips, mate. Just like swimming his cat. Swimming his cat around like this and then going.
Yeah.
And you're like, Trotty, switch on, mate. The amount of times I'm catching him doing that, just as you're about to run into bowl, he's chucking his cap up and trying to catch it on his head. Oh, it's so funny. So funny.
There was the two times when it was Northants away. He was doing a dance. He was doing the old school soccer AM dance, I think, at slip.
Oh, yeah.
As the ball's going to bowl. Nick to him, drop.
Oh, God.
Sprouts was like, lads, don't encourage him to do it. Just because it was his last, I think it was his last season. We were having a laugh. It was my last season in Wrighties. I'm like, come on, Troy, do it. He's like, nah. I'm like, come on, Troy, come on. And he's like, yeah, doing his little dance. Next ball, schnick, drop. I'm like,
oh no, who was bowling?
Oh, it was bowling. I think it was Henry. I think Henry Brooks played.
Henry Brooks.
Yeah. Fucking brilliant.
He was genius, Troy. Jesus Christ, such a drifter. What a player.
So, going back, obviously you've had a solid, absolute solid county career, and international's been amazing as well. There was a point when people were kind of saying, Woakes to be more of an option for international games, he needs to be quicker. There was that kind of probably quite frustrating for you. Needing to put pace. And what did you do when you did? Because there was a massive jump up in pace, I felt, when I was watching you play at Old Trafford and stuff. It was like a good 10 miles an hour here, difference in pace.
Yeah, I think it's, like I said, touched on there with the technical sort of changes and stuff. I think once I got to a point where I was happy with, I kind of met in the middle. I think, I tried these changes and I saw like an increase in my speed quite quickly. But as I said, I lost a bit of control, lost a bit of accuracy, lost a bit of skill. And I was like, it was just trying to find that sort of happy medium where I was like, right, okay. Because at one point I was probably got up to, close to late 80s at one point, I reckon. I just wasn't the same bowler, if you know what I mean. It was just, I was spraying it a little bit. Body was, body took a little bit of a battering trying to get used to the change as well. And I found that sort of happy medium again where I came, tried to use the technical changes, but just maybe on a little bit of a lower level, and met myself in the middle and was bowling, low to mid 80s, 83, 84, 85 at times. And just, I found my skill and I found that sort of optimum. And I think every bowler has that, I think, has an optimum where they're working at their best, where they've got, control of what they're doing. They feel comfortable, the body feels well. Because, I see guys that bowl at that high level and it's so hard to sustain, isn't it? It's so hard to be bowling at what's your peak. Someone, for instance, like Woody, for instance, Mark Wood, his peak or his optimum, I reckon, is around that sort of 93 mile an hour. When he gets to like 95, 96, which he can do, he's like his body starts to give way on him. And in my case, it was like if I can hover around that sort of 82, 83, 84, 85, 86 on a really good day, and still be able to control where I'm putting the ball, the shape I'm putting on it. And that's what I tried to do, mate. And that's what I found. I just found an optimum. And I think every bowler has that.
Did you do anything outside of cricket, so like physically to support this, like gym wise or anything like that? Or
yeah, I did, Wrighty. I certainly found a balance of getting it right in the gym. I don't think the gym, has all the answers, but it does have a part to play for sure. The guys that I've seen have like long careers, sustainable careers, like yourselves, the guys that do use the gym, but don't, that's not where you take your wickets and score your runs, is it? You need to be able to use it in the right way to keep yourself on the park. And that's the way I've found it. I got to a point probably, mid-career where I was like, right, I can use this to my benefit rather than trying to, get everything right in there and not be able to play out in the middle. That's not what you want to be. You want to be at a stage where you've got a program that you can go to, tick off, maintain as well, and it keeps you on the park. And whenever I go in the gym now, is I tick over things that I know they're going to keep me fit, keep me on the park. Because as much as you want to go in and lift heavy, at the end of the day, the numbers in the gym don't really matter as long as you're playing and performing. So yeah, I just had a program, mate. As I said, I looked after my quads, I looked after my lower limbs, glutes, got strong from that point of view, and did very, very little upper body training. That's for sure, and it's still the case now, to be fair.
What was, obviously you played with Broad and Anderson for a long time. What were they like for what you just said, the gym and stuff like that? Were they people that were in there a lot, or kind of not?
Yeah, Jimmy more so than Broady, I'd say. Broady was very much an old school sort of cricketer, kind of like to get his overs in, Look across Broady's career. I mean, he obviously had some injuries, but he was fit a lot of the time. He was always available to play. Would play long series, play 5 out of 5 sometimes. Jimmy, on the other hand, I reckon had to work a little bit harder in the gym and kind of did the right things to keep him on the park, strengthened things that need to be strengthened. But yeah, fit as a fiddle, mate. Both of them really, and both bowling fit. Do you know what I mean? Especially, I look at Broady. He was kind of a bit of a thicker set, robust sort of cricketer, whereas Jimmy's just a little bit more wiry, a little bit more lean, and yeah, but very much old school cricketers in terms of like they got their loads in. Do you know what I mean? They bowled a lot of overs early and were just able to maintain that. But they looked after themselves in the gym for sure.
Just
I
on
wouldn't
that,
say they ever lifted heavy though. Never say they lifted heavy.
Just on that, actually, it's a bit of a topic at the moment. Where do you stand on bowlers bowling their overs, young lads? Because there's been a lot of injuries to a lot of fast bowlers, and people are highlighting the fact of, you look at Broad and Anderson, they were 2,000 plus overs by the age of 24. Whereas there's a lot of lads that are only 600-700 that have not played as much and have had quite a lot of injuries. Where do you stand on that, mate?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the injury side of things, I think you do have to have a little bit of luck in a way. Don't be wrong. I don't think, no one chooses to be injured, do they? And I think some guys have had a bit of bad luck along the way. Some guys are just naturally, their bodies aren't built to probably bowl loads and loads of overs. But I do think there is a little bit now that's crept in, and we've all kind of been in both camps. I think when I first started, it was just like you bowl, you get your overs in, and you harden yourself off, and you get used to it. And then now I think it's gone probably a little bit too far, where you kind of we look after young bowlers maybe a little bit too much and don't get them bowling enough overs. I do fit somewhere in the middle, because I think too many overs can break people, but I think you need to harden the body off a little bit and kind of get used to a bit of pain, because there isn't going to be a situation where you bowl pain free. I mean, you can count on your hand. I'm not sure you can count on your hands and toes how many times you've bowled pain free, have you, really, throughout our careers? You're always going to have something that's sore, and it's kind of working out what you can bowl through and what you can't. And don't get me wrong, guys can't bowl through stress fractures. Like that's not what I'm saying people should be doing. But there is a stage where we're going to have to, get guys to learn to be able to bowl with pain. So I sit on both sides of the fence with that, Barks, and I've probably sat on the fence a little bit there. But you've got to be able to find a balance where you get guys to bowl their overs, but you kind of look after them as well. You got to sit on both sides of the fence a bit.
To be fair, I mean, Keith and I obviously were privileged to know you. You are a sensible. This sounds really boring. It's not meant to be.
No.
You are a sensible, balanced, calculated performer. I think you're a guy that thinks about what he's doing. So it's quite nice to have a reasonable take on it, if you know what I mean, rather than this really aggressive, polarizing opinion. It's like actually a bit about common sense.
I think you do have to train the body to bowl a lot of overs. Like, so for instance, you can't expect a young guy to come in and bowl 25 sets in an innings if he's never done it before. So you do have to have that sort of experience behind you. I think guys have got to learn to be able to get up to that level. And I think once your body gets up to that level and is used to it, it then becomes a bit easier. I think that's when guys, a lot of the time, I don't know exactly, but a lot of the time, I think guys are scarred mentally when they get injured early from bowling in a 4-day game, for instance, or bowling, a lot of overs in a game, because then it's almost like if they've never done it, it's like anything. If you've never done it before, you don't believe you can until you've done it. So I think that's one thing. Letting guys experience it and do it is a big part of it, and not holding them back. I think you've got to let them do it. Yeah,
I completely agree. Can I ask you? This is hopefully in my head. This is a cool question, and it's more about the psychology of it. And so obviously you worked on your game, like we've talked about. You put on that yard of pace or whatever it is that you thought you needed, and then you basically taken the new ball in white ball cricket at the absolute highest level. Like, what's going through your head when you're bowling at these world class aggressive opening batters with a white cooker? What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, mate, I'll be brutally honest. There's been times where it's frightening. It is like when you're competing against some of the world's best opening the batting, you're hiding to nothing, aren't you? With 2 men out, and I look back on that sort of period of playing for England. We're really, really, obviously, I mean, privileged to play in that team. How good we were, World Cup winners, all that sort of jazz. But proud of how I went about it as well. Like because as you say, it's a tough job, and I think we talk a lot about bowlers having the physical job and batters having the mental job in the game. And, it's more of a mental side for the batters and physical side for the bowlers. But I actually completely disagree. Like, I think bowling is just as much mental as it is for a batter. If you have the wrong mindset going into a spell or coming up against a certain player, you've lost it before you even start. Like, it's so important to have the right mindset. So, for instance, coming up against, we played a lot against India and Australia, even New Zealand. Gupta was an aggressive player. Warner, Finch, Rohit. These guys, when they're coming at you, you've got to hold your nerve. It's almost like first one to give. That's when you're susceptible to getting smacked. So, and don't get me wrong, I had some bad games, of course I did. But and if they get on top, good players stay on top and they make you feel it. I always try to put myself in a positive mindset, whereas I'm just going to give them absolutely zero. Like, if I'm as accurate as possible, they've got to take a big risk, and that's when you come into the game. And I always used to talk about there was no better feeling, Wrighty and Barks, than getting an early wicket in an ODI. No better feeling, because if you get an early pole in a white ball in a one day, in T20 is exactly the same, but more so in ODIs, you could just settle into bowling a 4-day length over and over again, and they had to make the play. And it was like a honeymoon period. If you got 1 or 2 wickets in the power play early on in an ODI, you're like, I'm all over him here. There is like, the only way he's scoring runs is if I bowl a bad ball. And when you're in that mindset of like hitting a length, hammering the top of the stumps, challenging him every ball, it's like, I'm dictating the game. That's what you wanted to do. You wanted to dictate the play, not them, coming down and smacking over the top. And you're like, right, he's on today. Now you're on the back foot. But as soon as you got an early pole, you were just like, it's like a honeymoon period, because you just like, they couldn't really take too much of an aggressive option, because if they lose 2-3 in the power play, the game could be gone. That's the bit that I used to love.
I'm just thinking of that now. Like, obviously, I didn't play at that level. I'd be reasonably confident early on in the T20 game. The only time when I was on a real negative was when we rock up at Trent Bridge and I'd be bowling at Alex Hales and Ricky Vessels.
Oh, I mean, it's not nice, is it? It's putrid thinking I've got a bowl to the short side here, and they're just going to target it as well.
Every time.
Nothing worse.
As a fan, my favourite wicket of yours is nicking Warner off in the World Cup semi. That was proper. That to me, was everything that you work for. It was pacey, had bounce, world class batter.
That's
miles back.
It's great. It's great. A great moment for me, mate. That Wrighty. That was my. I still think it's probably my favourite wicket of all time. Like, there's a few in there, but I think to choose one and the moment of it, and there's the occasion, home ground. The beauty of that is I've got that wicket on record on my skybox, right? And the nick in line with it was in line with the home dressing room.
Yes.
And our tickets that day was sat just in front of the dressing room, and there's a nick, and my dad and my brother was sat just in front of the thing. And as Warner nicks it, my brother and my dad both go up like this. And it's like in slow-mo as the ball's going through to Johnny at first slip. It's like what dreams are made of. It's just one of my favourite moments on a cricket field. It's so good. And obviously the importance of it, obviously. You know what, as well? He was on that day. Warner.
Right.
He first ball banged me through the covers for 4. First ball of the semi-final, I was like, right, pull it in a good area, bash a good length. It was like a floaty half volley, which he banged me through the covers. I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble here. About over later, he banged me over the top, 1 bounce 4, and I was like, this could be a long day. And then out of nowhere, I managed to get that one to bounce and nick him off. And the game from then on was just an incredible game to be a part of. Obviously beating Australia, World Cup semi, home ground, Edgbaston rocking. It was up there with my favourite games of all time.
Maybe this is, you hear this get spoken about a lot, but what was more what felt more pressured, that match in the semis or the final itself?
Weird one. I mean, you both know my sort of character, but I was quite bullish about how we were going to go in that semi-final. I remember looking back and thinking, obviously we beat India here in a must-win game. We then beat New Zealand in Durham in a must-win game. Yep. And it just felt like the tide had turned for us, because obviously we'd lost to Aussies earlier on in the tournament. We almost had a little bit of revenge to show them, and kind of, I just had a feeling we were going to really turn up against them that game. But I mean, pressure-wise, I think the World Cup final, mate, I think we had everything. Every one of us was like confident that we'd go and beat New Zealand, because we were a good side. We'd beat everyone.
The best team in the world, weren't you?
You know what I mean? So we were confident, and not taking anything away from them, we thought we could do them. But I think the pressure of a World Cup final at Lord's, you get one opportunity to do this right. We've done everything right for 4 years. You've got this one chance to kind of get over the line. I think that was probably the more pressurised game, for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
37.
How everything went just towards the end of Stokes' innings, it was like, it's written in the stars. Just the turning without looking, diving, hits the bat full, all that, the Bolt. Even there's a bit of a story in my head of it. Is I watched that tournament, and Bolt had taken so many boundary riding catches where he's so close to the line, and it was like confidence was building. He knows what he's doing. He's catching it every time. That one comes up, catches it. I've got it, lads. Foot on the boundary. Oh my God, no. It was just like written.
I know. I look back on it, Barks, and it's just like, I think it was written. Like, someone was watching down on us that day to make sure we got over the line, because there's no real reason why we should have done. We should have. I mean, New Zealand effectively gave us that, didn't they? I mean, I know they had a bit of bad luck with it hitting Stokes' bat, but the catch, obviously, Bolt's catch is just, it was. There's no such thing as an easy catch, but he'd caught it, hadn't he? It's just that he just kept cruising backwards. It's like, it's remarkable. He's gun fielder, and just everything that happened that day, I think, was just kind of leaning towards us winning it. And incredible day, mate, to be a part of. I mean, I don't think I'd like to relive it, to be honest, because it was stressful as well.
How scared were you in the field for the final over?
You know what? I literally can't even remember being out there. It's an absolute blur. It's like an out of body experience. I just remember. I remember being at Fine Leg. I was at Fine Leg, and I just remember thinking for Jofra's early on his over, I was like, he's got a bumper in him here. He's 100% got a bumper in him. And I was thinking, I'm at Fine Leg. One's just gonna go up. And I'm going to be under a high ball in a super over in a World Cup final. That is literally the only thing that's going through my mind. I was thinking, right, just like, when you're switched on, but you were like so intensely switched on. That's all I remember being. It's just like the crowd didn't even like come into it. I was just like, all that's happening is like, there's a cricket game going on. I'm fielding, and I've got to be switched on. Like, that is literally all that was going through my mind.
I remember
Thankfully, it didn't come to me, mate.
Oh yeah, I remember thinking, God. I'd just be thinking, please don't come near me. Please do not let that ball come near me.
Well, I tried, stupidly, I tried to make sure I wasn't in that mindset. Do you know what I mean? Because if you get into that point, you're just like, you're 100% fucking up, aren't you? You're 100% messing up. So, I tried to just be so intensely switched on. But, it's just a bit of a blur.
How does that compare with an Ashes series? And what's your favourite?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, growing up, mate, obviously the two biggest things growing up watching cricket was an Ashes series and the ODI World Cup. I take nothing away from the T20 World Cups, but obviously it's a bit newer and I didn't grow up watching that. So it kind of, the pinnacle has always been Ashes cricket or Test cricket and that ODI World Cup. So to actually get over the line and win it was just like, it was more relief than like a dream come true because we'd worked so hard for 3 or 4 years to get to that point. It felt like the opportunity was like, it was a once in a lifetime sort of opportunity. So it's hard to separate an Ashes series and that ODI World Cup, but that ODI World Cup will sit top of the tree for me, I think, just because of the journey and everything that kind of went with it. But an Ashes series is pretty special to be a part of. Like, there's no build up like it. Everyone's invested in it. I think that was a big thing with the World Cup as well, is that the nation was invested in the kind of the journey as well. It was a long sort of, once we got through to that sort of semi-finals, finals, it felt like so much of the population was all in and watching it. And I think with that final being on BBC and stuff, it was huge for the game. It was massive.
Obviously, you'd have the innings of Stokesy at Headingley. That probably the best knock you've seen, as in just to win a game.
Stokesy's knock at Headingley.
Yeah,
it's that is just remarkable. But it's not just the knock, mate. You know what he did? The night before we were. He bowled like a 12-over spell or something up the hill at Headingley before they declared, or did we bowl them out or did they declare? I can't remember. Either way, he bowled like a 12-over spell and bowled like high pace, high skill, like kept us in the game somehow. And then obviously had to bat the night before and wasn't he like 3 not out off 70 balls or something?
Yeah, not much.
4 not out off 70 balls. Honestly, he didn't have many and he faced 70 balls and basically just shut up shop, just blocked it out. So it was the whole package. And then to do what he did the following day, he's playing shots, mate, off the world's best bowlers, making him look like he was facing an under-11s. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it, mate. Honestly, never seen anything like it. That is the best innings I think I've ever seen. 100%. The context of it, the meaning of it, to keep us in an Ashes series, to do it all single-handedly, just there's nothing compares. Honestly, nothing compares.
Who out of the England batters that you've played with, who would you not want to bowl at the most? That's what I'm interested to hear. And why?
I mean, it'd probably be Stokesy if he's in that mood, one of his moods where he's indestructible. I mean, it's hard to look past Wrighty, Cookie. Those two, in terms of like batting for your life, would be up there. Try to be up there, actually. Someone batting for your life, to be fair. Try is, if someone said, he's not going to get out and he's just literally going to bat all day, try to be up there. But Cookie for that same reason, just like over my dead body, I'm not getting out. Wrighty can just make you look silly in terms of the fact that he's got all the shots. He can hit the same ball in like 3 or 4 different places. And then if someone's, can make you look really silly in terms of like can keep hitting you for 6, it'd probably be Stokesy. So there's a few there, mate, but it's hard to choose one, isn't it? Because all, incredible players. I played a small part of the start of my career with KP as well, and let's face it, he was a genius. So many, but I think for standout reasons, Wrighty, Cookie, they're 2 of our best ever players, aren't they? Let's face facts.
Yeah, and how do you feel that I was speaking to? I don't know if I told you this, but I was speaking to Nathan Lyon last season when he was at Lancs, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
And he just mentioned about Steve Smith, and said that every time Australia play, he's looking to see if you're on the team sheet because he don't want to face you. That's pretty impressive, mate. I've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, if that is true, I'm definitely happy with that. I've played against Steve Smith a hell of a lot, and I've actually played with him in the IPL, and he's a good lad. You know, when you don't know someone and then you get to know them, and they're completely different to what you expect them to be.
Yeah.
He's actually a really good fella, and I've obviously got utmost respect for how good a player he is, because his journey is interesting, isn't it? Compared to what he was a leg spinner that batted a bit to becoming the best batter that's probably come out of Australia since Bradman. That's pretty unreal journey, really, and he's a serious player. But I've had success against Steve. Actually, I've got him out a fair few times. The problem is he's always on 150, mate. That's the problem. It's nice to get him out and have him in the pocket, but it's 150 runs too late. A serious player, but yeah, I have got him out a few times. I've got him a few times, but as I said, just usually got too many by that point. It's nice though. It's a nice little. It's a nice little small win, isn't it? It's a small win.
100%. I put a message on Instagram to anyone that follows us if they've got any questions for you.
Okay, yeah.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple of these?
Yeah, of course. Far away.
Some of the better ones. I won't ask them all because some are better than others, and obviously we've kept you an hour already. So
no stress.
So similar subject. Then we've got the hardest person to bowl at, excluding the world's freaky batters. So someone that people might not expect that's been a tricky opponent.
Someone you might not expect. Just trying to think who's. God, it's a tricky question. Instead of the world, I mean, I probably would have said Smith, because he's so he's so awkward and he's a serious player. Okay, maybe someone who's quite destructive. I'd say maybe like a Rishabh Pant, maybe.
That looks annoying to bowl in.
Yeah, because he's just like, he's a bit rogue, and he can obviously smack you for six, but you just don't know. Like, he just plays the game by numbers. He's a bit of a gambler. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he's. I've recently, when I've played against him recently, I've started using more like change-ups, because you just almost have to go into his mode. If you just try and hit a length every ball, he's like, he knows where it's going to be, and he can run down and just carve you over the offside, smack you over cow for six. He's a bit of a cowboy, so he's a bit tricky to bowl at.
Fair play. Okay, this is a really good question, actually. So hopefully people can hopefully you've got the answer and people can use it. But what's the best tip you've ever been given about setting batters up? So whatever that means to you, let's say your stop ball is an away swinger. What's the best bit of advice you've got about how to exploit that and set someone up?
Okay, well, I mean, in terms of setting batters up, obviously sometimes you're not going to. I always think this as well. So not every wicket you get is going to be from a setup.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I think some people get in this mode where it's like, every wicket I've got to get is got to be like in swing, away swing, or away swing, in swing, or swing, wobble. You know what I mean? Like, that isn't always going to be the case. You're going to be, sometimes people will get out to your stock, and sometimes they'll get out to your change up. And sometimes they'll get out to your ball that you weren't expecting to bowl. Do you know what I mean? Like, you bowl one down the arse and get caught behind, whatever it is. But I think that probably my main advice would be to, it probably comes back to the mindset side of things, is like, if you're confident in what you're trying to deliver, that's going to give you more of a chance for starters. So, like, if you're a bit unsure and you're a bit like, oh, I'm not sure I should try this, or first and foremost, you're on the back foot, I reckon you've got to be confident in your mindset in terms of delivery and your skill. And then also, I think sticking to your super strength is the best option most of the time. So, there's going to be times where a guy doesn't like the ball being ran in a little bit, but your super strength, for instance, like me, is to go away. Yeah. I think you're still going to bowl. I think the way to don't change what you do to suit them, if that makes sense. So that would be my tip. So it's like, for instance, for me, bowling to a guy that's susceptible to the ball running back, I'm still going to bowl to him 80 or 90% of the balls going away. But my change up is to run it back and try and catch him off guard, if that makes sense. So I suppose my answer is, mate, is still stick to your super strengths. if a guy's weak in a certain area, don't just change your game purely for him because you're going away from your strengths. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just quickly on that. You're spot on there. I bowled at Woakesy last year. I thought, what's he not going to expect early on? I was like, I'm going to go massive innie. Randomly clipped 4. Like, fucking 2 straight. And actually, Woakesy's one of the only, you and Dolby, so I don't class Dolby because he's 10-11. Woakesy's the only teammate I've actually got out that's that I'd take as a I've got one.
You've actually got Woakes out.
He's not got me out. So
I hate. You know what, Barks? I hate bowling at Barks. I hate bowling at Barks. He's just like so deep in the crease, man. I'm like, come at me, man. Come at me. I feel like he's too far away. I can't get the ball down there.
And then he just shovels it all through the mid wicket.
Oh man, it's hard to bowl at. I used to love having Barks on side, coming in at like 8. Me and him coming in at 8 and 9. And he'd just be like, he'd get 100 from 9. You're like, oh, happy days.
Actually, just while we're on it, you tell me what it was like hitting Brett Lee and Sean Tate for 6.
Well, I remember Sean Tate. I watched that one.
Because I was watching it thinking, oh my god, I hope he don't get hit. And then you just
I don't know. It was a bit of a gamble, I reckon. I reckon that first game against Sean Tate, I was like, this bloke is absolute rapid. Like he's bowling thunderbolts. And I faced my first ball and just got my bat down in time, patted it back down the wicket, and he came down and gave me an absolute barrage of abuse. He was like, time to face the music, you little. See you next Tuesday. He was like, I can't remember. He said something about short ball, and I was like, right, I know exactly where this next ball is going to be. So, mate, I was there, mate. My back was up. I was waiting for it. So that is the only reason I reckon I clocked hold of that one. But that was pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed that.
Brett Lee hit back over his head.
Brett Lee donged him over his head. It was pretty sweet moment as well. Unfortunately, we did go over the line in that game, but small wins.
Amazing. I've got one more question here. This is from a bloke who lives up the road, so I know him. And he's saying, how do you prepare mentally for an overseas tour when you know you're part of a rotation system or you won't play every game? Pretty well, I imagine. Play every other game. That sounds quite good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, looks after the rig. I think I think it's just part and parcel, mate. I think you get to a point, especially as a bowler. I think it's different as a batter, maybe, because as a batter, kind of, the top 6 or 7 is kind of going to be set unless there's a bit of a failure or a bit of poor form. Whereas a bowling unit, you tend to be kind of in it together, where you're going to be coming in and out potentially, especially across a 5-match series. You know that you're going to get a go at some point, and it's just a matter of being right for when you get the nod, I suppose. It's something which I had to kind of deal with for most of my England career, especially when Jimmy and Brody were playing, pretty much every game. I always knew that, in a 3-match, 5-match series, I might get 1 or 2 games, and you just got to try and get yourself in a mindset where you're ready to go if you're given the nod. You just deal with it, mate. It becomes, the norm. I think in my case, I was just kind of trying to train well and be in the best shape possible for if I was to get the nod. I think that's just the best way to go about it.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. They're the best of the questions. So I'll tee up. There is one bloke that says, "What advice would you give to amateur players when trying to find a bowling coach?" And Keith, like, oh, that's kind of what we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What does that mean? What's he looking for in a coach, or just in general?
I think probably best answer is just say the Bowlers Union, seeing as we offer it.
Exactly. Yeah. Just listen to every podcast you guys have done, and I'm sure there's going to be some good nuggets of advice in there.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, we've been so lucky. I mean, obviously, we've got you on today. We've had some proper bowlers come on.
Yeah, I mean, you had Dale Steyn on here. I mean, what a bowler he is, or is, unbelievable bowler. Unbelievable. I mean,
we were fizzed up on about that one because obviously we didn't. Different to you, we didn't know him. I didn't.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
mate, he had me on the edge of the seat.
Really?
I want a bowl right now, and he was just talking about steaming in, like it's like
he's so good, mate.
I know,
so good.
He's meant to be a
So
top
good.
fella as well, isn't he? Well, he was lovely on the podcast, but I think a lot of people just say he's such a good guy.
Yeah, you know what? I've never spent any time with him. I've only met him a couple of times and obviously just said hello. But whenever he comes across, whether that be commentary or punditry, or I know I've heard a couple of lads that have had him as the coach in South Africa said he's brilliant. So
speaking of punditry and stuff like that, kind of after cricket works, what do you think you're? I know you've got enough to start your own bank, but what do you think you'll do with your time, mate?
Yeah, I don't know exactly yet, Box. I'm still hoping to play for a few years, and then we'll see, mate. I do like the idea of staying in the game, so like some punditry stuff would be great. I wouldn't mind dipping into a bit of media stuff. I've had a little bit of a taste of it, and I've enjoyed it. When I did it, I although I enjoyed it, it kind of made me realise I still wanted to play, which was quite a good thing. I was injured at the time, and it did fill a gap, which was great and kept me involved with the game. But I was like, it just gave me that energy to be like, I still want to play, I still want to be a part of the team, still want to be part of the dressing room, still want to compete. So that was good, but it was enjoyable. So that's something which got on the radar. Coaching, I've not ruled it out. But again, I just don't. I want to. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it because I really, really want to, not just because it's a natural progression. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the minute, I'm not sure if I'm at that stage with the coaching. Maybe finishing up and having a couple of years away from the dressing room might be like, give me a little bit of, I don't know, kick up the backside to get back into it. I don't know. So we'll see, mate. We'll see.
And I know Wrighty's probably got it ready to ask, but I'm going to ask it. All your experience that you've had playing throughout your whole career, what advice would you give your younger self if you could go back now? Apart from don't wear the earring.
I was going to say, don't get an earring.
Wrap the earring off. You know what? It would have been, I think, if I'd have given any advice to my younger self, and we laugh and joke now as 36, 37, 38-year-olds or whatever we are. It's like, I'd have probably tried to embrace the experience a little bit more. Feel like it's just, when you're an 18-year-old and you come in and you're playing all these games, you're traveling, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're playing well, you're having a great time, you're earning good money because we're professional sportsmen or whatever. It's like you just take it for granted a little bit. And I don't think I've by any means taken my life for granted, but there's just times where you look back and you're like, where has 18 years gone? Like, and we used to laugh as a joke, and when we were 18, 19, and you said, oh, these old farts that are going out to games saying, enjoy it, it doesn't last long. You're like, yeah, wait, mate, I got 20 years in the game, shut up. And now you're sat in that exact same seat and thinking, God, I'm saying the same stuff to the 17, 18-year-olds coming through now. It's like, it is mad how quick your career disappears. It's just, you've got to try and enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, I've had some great times. But also, as a playing at that level where I've played, Ashes series, and World Cups like we spoke about, there is stress that comes with it. Do you know what I mean? You try and enjoy it. I just wish I could have enjoyed it that little bit more, and embraced the situation a little bit more. But that's the advice I'd give, is just to try and enjoy it a little bit more, because I had some great times, but there've been some times where you feel like the world is on your shoulders, and that's just part and parcel of being a professional in your trade, I suppose.
I've one last question for you, actually. When you had your penthouse apartment that you had, not trying to thingy, but I just remember you've had like a few apartments, I think, but the penthouse one, and your neighbour was a footballer. Do you know when he drove down to London to sign the?
Yeah.
What was he called?
Pete Road and Wingy.
Oh, the Wingy.
Pete Road and Wingy, yeah. Yeah, Pete, he drove to London, didn't he, to QPR to try and get that deal through. I think he had a bad agent, mate. That was bad.
Because he got spotted at the ground. He got spotted at the ground. If I remember correctly, and they were like, "Oh, the Wingy's here. He must be signing." He's like trying to get in. The door won't open or something. He sat in the car.
It was a bad sort of move, that, wasn't it? Bad move.
Did you see him again after that, or did he just?
So he was my he was my neighbour for a little while, and and then obviously I moved out, and I think he moved out before me actually. But yeah, so he's a great fella as well. I think he was really ill-advised there. Do you know what I mean? I think the agents sort of like said it's a done deal, get yourself down there, and yeah, unfortunately when he got there, it wasn't a done deal. So it's a bit of a stinker, but it's a top lad actually, really good fella, good golfer, bloody good golfer. But yeah, I haven't seen him for a long time.
Right.
Good stuff,
any more questions, Keith? Are we all good?
No, that's me all finished, mate.
Amazing. Look, Woakesy, thanks so much for your time.
Worries, lads.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah, great to catch up. I wish we probably should be doing this more often, to be honest. But appreciate your time.
Yeah, I will say,
no worries.
Obviously, you've got loads of England contacts. If you want to just say, been on a great podcast, you should.
Oh, mate, I'll definitely bang this out when you release it out and stuff. I'll share and spread the word and all that jazz. So
I appreciate it.
You need to try and get Jimmy on, don't you?
Well, Barks and him don't they have a big fallout or whatever? I don't know if they're more.
Yeah, but come on, bygones can be bygones, can't you? That can be the break the ice at the start.
I'd love to get him on. I'd love to get him on, mate. We played against it. I played against him once actually. I was like 13, and it was an under-18s game, and he bowled absolute rockets. I've never been to the game. But yeah, no, it'd be great to get any of the other England lads on. I'm trying to get CJ on. I do want to get
nice.
on. I want to try and speak to Woody. But
Woody would definitely come on. He's obviously with his injury at the minute. He's got time on his hands, so it might be a good time to get hold of Woody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll chat after this. And
I can always mention it to him as well because I'm pretty tight with Woody, to be fair. So
perfect, mate.
Awesome.
Right,
well, look,
legend boys.
There. Thanks very much for listening, and catch up soon. Take it easy.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.